What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Web3 DJs, your number one source for all things crypto, NFT, and Web3. You know, if it's happening in the space, we're talking about it here. Today, we've insane guests lined up for you today. He's the founder and artist for one of the most hyped Solana mints that's coming up, Hip Hamsters. You got to make sure you check that out. On the streets, though, he's known as that POAP guy. Here on our show, we're coining him as the most positive creator on the Solana blockchain. His
Let's go.
positivity is contagious, yes, sir, but his art, man, that's where we start to define this guy as insane. And so Austin Kenneth has been so gracious that he has actually donated some of his talents, and we'll be doing a special giveaway for our Web3 DJ family here on the show. You got to make sure you stay tuned for that. But yeah, Austin, welcome to the show, man. Great to have you on.
Yeah, it's awesome to be here. I appreciate you guys.
Absolutely, our pleasure, man. And it wouldn't be a Web3 DJ show if we didn't start off with some sort of little market recap. So we'll go ahead and just get into this and cover this real quickly. Real quick, Bitcoin at $20,500. It's up 1.8% over the last 24 hours, up 2.27% over the last 7 days. Ethereum at $1,000, almost $200, up 4.84% over the last 24 hours and 8.23% over the last 7 days. Kind of interesting. If you look at the two charts there, they pretty much mimic each other, which might not be interesting to somebody who's been following crypto for a long time, but this is the first time I've noticed something like that. And we'd be remiss if we didn't bring up what's going on with Solana. Solana up to $37. That's up 5% in the last 24 hours and 9.97% over the last 7 days. So yeah, Austin, I think it's no secret. People will say that right now we're in what is being referred to as a bear market. How are you faring this sort of thing? Are you buying? Are you holding? Stacking up your crypto? What are your thoughts on this?
Hey, you know what? I'm holding everything. I'm stacking, and just obviously praying for the best and preparing for the worst. But I definitely see Web3 and all this crypto and stuff is a very long term thing. So I'm not really worried as a creator as well. I feel like even if the markets get a little bit bad, there'll always be opportunities for creators to step in and make an impact. So,
Man,
Yeah,
go ahead, Hofstra.
Oh, no, I was going to say, speaking of creators, we always want to find out how you found your way into Web3, into crypto. Everyone's kind of got a unique story, but being an artist, was that your segue in when you saw NFTs, or were you in crypto prior to that?
So I actually wasn't in crypto prior to that. I have a bunch of close friends that have done a lot of portfolio stuff like that with NFTs, crypto, you name it. And two of my really close friends, Chase and Dylan. Dylan is Tropics Official Music.
Nice.
So yeah, I've known Dylan, for probably 12 to 13 years now. We've grown up together. I've seen him build Tropics. He's seen me build Austin Kenneth. So it's definitely been a cool thing. So, when COVID hit, that's when I really, I guess, found myself to monetize myself and, I guess step into, like I said, monetizing myself in any way, I can and bringing a positive light with me. So when I was originally, during the pandemic, I was doing commissions, pretty much just painting, stuff like that, whatever, people needed, if they needed a pair of sneakers done or, I don't know, there's so much random things that I've done just in the past. But so, yeah, Chase, he actually, connected with Tropics and was like, yo, Austin's been doing this thing, he's been creating art obviously his whole life, but he really just started to monetize himself. He would be a perfect candidate to try to start a NFT brand and stuff like that. So I'm like, all right, I mean, I'm game for it, right? So what we did was, we met up for a beer, we hung out. We talked a little bit, he pretty much explained everything to me. I had absolutely no idea what an NFT was. I saw the art before, I've seen articles about it, stuff like that, but never really really went into it. So yeah, he definitely opened my eye with literally everything, showed me all the good projects, what like a PFP is, like, all this stuff, like pretty much just, it was like information overload. But over time, I definitely gained some knowledge, and now I can definitely say that I can at least hold a conversation with stuff like this. But yeah, so I would say around 10 months ago, Tropics, he introduced me to NFTs. Like I said, gave me the rundown, and we pretty much just started from there. I know he said to me that it would be a perfect idea for me to start my own project, have something that it's built by Austin Kenneth, and that'll be sustainable for multiple years, that I can bring positive light, I can bring all my friends together, new people, like just all this stuff. And it seemed like so awesome to me, you know what I mean, because I'm just such a positive person. The more that you get to know me, the more you just see that I'm a genuine person. I just want to bring a positive impact into this space, like provoke everyone's emotion in the most positive way I possibly can. So yeah, I mean, coming up with the idea of a name, even prior to that, we kind of had, the idea of, maybe having an animal, right? So, we kind of messed around with a little bit of sketches, stuff like that. And we really came down to it, and we were like, yeah, you know what, we're going to have a name before we do any sketches, because we really need something that's going to resonate with us before we even start, picturizing exactly what it's going to be. So, we sat down. It took us probably 2 or 3 weeks, just to come up with a solid name. And, we kind of decided on Hipster Hamsters. And, I'm sure Hipster Hamsters, hipster can be, taken a bunch of different ways. But, the way that we take it is, we're always on the new thing. We're always trying to innovate, bring new people on, and, like a hipster is, right? Like just always on that new trend, and,
For
just
sure.
trying to, find their space, right? So, yeah, I mean, as far as that, like, I mean, Tropics, he definitely like showed me all these different projects, told me what works, told me what doesn't. And ever since then, like, I would probably say around 9 or 10 months ago, I've just started to make this project, right? And, it's pure passionate. I've sustained myself, making commissions and stuff like that. So I was able to, pretty much just go full head on this, really, really just kind of, it's hard to put into words, but, it's almost like a culmination of, my entire life, like into one project. And the cool part is like, there's art from my father, and, there's art from like some of my buddies that like I'm implementing inside the project. So like just doing stuff like that, even with, art, is like super awesome. And, my number one thing is like, we just want to bring back like the hype to the art, and like, the craze around like actually looking at something and being like, oh wow, I want to consume this because I like the art, right? I feel like so many people are transactional nowadays, especially with NFTs. You buy something and you look at it and you say, okay, what's the utility, right? So we're definitely trying to take a step back and have someone look at the PFP and say, okay, all right, let me take a second look at this, maybe even a third time, and I really want to get to know the artist, right? And this is like the whole thing that we wanted to build is, we want people to come on the ride with us. All of us that are on the team, we're young guys. I'm 25, I just turned 25 the other day. And if this can be sustainable for X amount of years until I'm literally retired, like I'm so game for that. Like that would be so sick to monetize myself this way, especially building with some of my best friends that I've known for like literally years. So yeah, I mean, I'm sure I'm dragging out this question a lot, but yeah, I mean, to say the least, I would say around 9 or 10 months ago, Tropics, he definitely, he gave me the lingo and gave me the lowdown for it.
Yeah, man, absolutely. It's first of all, dragging the question out. Everybody who's tuning in, they're here to hear you talk. So speak as much and as often as you want to. Second, I thought that it was really interesting that you talked about working on this project for 9 to 10 months. Oftentimes in the space, people think that I can just go on, create a couple of attributes, do the generative art and bang out a project, and then we'll figure things out. And I love how you talked about taking a step back. And it really seems that like and getting to know you and getting to know what you're about and your, for lack of a better phrase, mission statement about the project. It really seems like you're trying to do this the right way and build something, to your point, that's sustainable in the long run. Let me ask you, where does Hamsters stand now, 9 to 10 months in? What are you working on? What's still to be done? And what comes next?
Okay, so I'm actually pretty happy that you asked that question because
Great.
we've been doing a lot of stuff recently. I know NFT NYC just passed, so I was painting with tropics on the boats, so that's a whole other story. But yeah, I mean, what was I just about to say?
Real quick, while you're thinking of that, I'll just pull it up. This is the thing
Yeah.
that you painted, correct?
Yes, yeah.
And
I
I
actually
saw
had three. There was three different paintings, so I did that. But
shout out
yeah,
to Tasty Bones, Creepy Club, and Krypton
Yeah,
Goons.
little
And I heard you
Krypton
ask
Goons.
about it. I see it right here. There's the hamster, right?
yep.
Hipster Hamster, yes,
I
sir.
snuck
Whenever
them in. But yeah, so stuff we're working on, right? I think our main priority right now is I'm going back and forth with our developer. We're actually making our website right now. And I'm smiling, like literally just talking about this because the website is just so cool. It's like very interactive and like it's like an infinite scroll type of deal.
Nice.
So yeah, it'll be obviously both, mobile friendly and desktop friendly. But yeah, right now, like that's like my main mission, is that maybe even by the next week, or, so to definitely get out, some type of, website for you guys to, just consume. I mean, there's definitely little things that, I haven't said yet. And obviously I don't want to, say everything that we're going to be doing within the project because then there wouldn't be any hype. But, yeah,
Right.
I mean, as far as other things go, I would say the art is probably 98% done. I mean, like, I would love to say that it is 100% done, but it's not because, like, literally every day I'm like, I like add stuff on or I'll like take stuff out and then add it on. You know what I mean? It's a constant process with me because when it comes to my own artwork and bringing something, that's my own art, I'm very, I criticize myself a lot when it comes to that. I want everything to make sure that it's, solid lines, hard designs and, something that people will like. But, yeah, I mean, as far as other stuff, we're definitely going to be, implementing different things. We're definitely working behind the scenes, to do different stuff like that. I met a bunch of awesome people at NFT NYC. So, hopefully I'll be able to, I guess, just capitalize on those relationships and, try to move the project a little bit further. But yeah, I mean, like you said, we've been building the project for almost 9 months, right? It's like that's a long time, but we're really not in a rush. As far as it, the actual minting goes, stuff like that. We definitely want it to be a Solana summer for without a doubt. But we're not in a rush. We're not trying to sell you something off the front end and then take off the back end. It's everything is going to be fully transparent. The stuff that we'll be able to do, is as far as, charities and stuff like that. It's definitely cool concepts that we have.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it sounds like you have a background in art. Like, what are some of your inspirations prior to getting crypto? Like, did you come up with this based off of something else, or what's your inspiration on?
Yeah. I mean, like, honestly, I think I can, like, take a step back and, like, kind of just give a little bit of a bio about myself because I feel
Absolutely.
like that would give, like, a little bit better of an indication of, like, what all my art is and stuff like that. So, yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm a 25-year-old independent artist born and raised in New York. I've been making art my entire life, only started to monetize myself during COVID, but, a lot of my early days, I grew up racing motocross, riding dirt bikes, riding skateboards, BMX, any type of action sports logo. I was just like fully consumed on. My dad used to race motocross, so that's like kind of, he obviously persuaded me, stuff like that when I was a little kid. But yeah, I mean, with the skateboarding logo, stuff like that, like I would just it would fixate like just my mind of, all the crazy colors, like the hard lines that they make, the solid designs, like I keep saying. And that's what really resonates with me. When I was a kid, I would take, like, say a skateboarding logo, right, and try to trace it, or like try to replicate it, just because, like, that's, I would just, that's my thing. I would, always try to either, scribble on my papers in class or whatever. Like, I was just always that kid of, making something, or like, painting my bicycle, like, you know what I mean, doing like wild stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, as far as like other, outsource, inspiration, is definitely my father. He went to the New York School of Visual Arts. He graduated, I believe, in '85. So, when he graduated, it was literally the era of graffiti. Like, like that's like when it literally started. So, like, just getting stories from him, like seeing his artwork, trying to, I guess, just implement it inside my project, like I said. But yeah, there's definitely different things. So, as I grew older a little bit, obviously, skateboarding, being all that stuff, tattoos go hand in hand. Obviously, like I say, yeah, tattoos go hand in hand with, all those action sports, stuff like that. But yeah, my father, he, became very friendly with an owner of a tattoo shop that's out in Belmore, called Lone Wolf Tattoo. Owned by Ron Bianco. And, he's an awesome guy. My dad has been able to, really have a good relationship with him as well as me. Right. I pretty much have all my tattoos, is pretty much by him. It's awesome to, just talk to him pretty much, and, open his mind a little bit and get him to, I guess, just teach me a little bit, right? I was just obsessed with traditional tattoos, like American traditional tattoos, ever since, like, I can remember, right? And people like, Burt Crack, or, Mike Perfetto, or, obviously people like Sailor Jerry, like there's just so many names that I can, just spit out, that I just absolutely love their art, and, stuff like that. And even, with graffiti, right? Like people like Zephyr or Cess or Tracy 168, bombers like JA, there's so many, it's just like a culmination, right? Like I feel like being, like, so close to the city. I live out Long Island, and being so close to the city, I was just exposed to that. I was exposed to all the graffiti, all the different art, just all the, advertisements, and, like, just over, just saturation pretty much of, like, everything. But I mean, as far as, my inspiration goes, I think I definitely pull inspiration, like I said, from, graffiti, skateboarding, like, just action sport type of logos, stuff like that, tattoo design, everyday life pretty much. And, pretty much, like, social media, like, social media has been, like, absolutely crazy. If I didn't have that tool, to look at the different people's art, and, pretty much expose myself to a lot more than I normally wouldn't. So yeah, I mean, I have endless amounts of, inspiration. I can just go on for days. But yeah.
It's crazy. I was just thinking, as you're saying that, as like an inspiration. Like, I'm 39, I'll be 40 this year, and graffiti was huge. Like, growing up, I was super into graffiti, breakdancing. Like, this is a little bit past that, but it was still huge, right? And we didn't have social media, so I had to go get VCR tapes and learn how to break dance with VCR tapes, like in the wrestling room at school. And then how we learned how to paint, we used to have our graffiti books, and we would just write those all day. And then, like, but you had to go to these, you had to go find these, like, stores down in just places that, like, you wouldn't think, in different cities. And then it was just totally different. But if we had social media, I don't know, like, my inspiration would be probably completely different, because everything would be exposed. Like, it wouldn't matter if you're in Japan or in, Europe or California, it would be so much more. And, I was kind of like, at 24, just thinking I was living in LA right when, Obey and Shepherd Ferry was all going off. Like,
Oh yeah.
It's kind of crazy to think that you're, like, during COVID, And then that inspiration, I guess I never thought about it like that. If I was in that age group, how that would play into it, but it makes total sense that social media would be an inspiration.
Yeah, dang, Hofstra. I didn't know you had all this breakdancing in your background. Why don't you go ahead and cut a little rug for us? Bust out a couple moves.
Hey, it ain't cool when you're 39, man. It's cool when you're like 24. Now you just actually get hurt.
Yeah, but
Fair
like
enough.
you said, like people, they only had like the DVD, or not even DVDs, like VHS or magazines. Like magazines were huge for the graffiti culture. But yeah, I mean, I have countless amounts of stories of, my dad and, him doing stupid shit. But yeah, I mean, I completely forgot, to mention this, but it definitely, shaped me as a person. And, after I got out of high school, I didn't take the traditional route. I didn't go to college. I started working with my pops. He's an electrician. It's funny because, when he was a kid, he was an artist and then became an electrician. And I started out as an electrician and now I'm an artist. So it's
Very
like,
nice,
such duality. But yeah, so I started doing that. And obviously, me and him, we have a little bit too close of personality. So, we butted heads a little bit. But, we definitely, had some good times, stuff like that. But yeah, so I ended up moving. I went to Nassau County Harley Davidson. So that was a really awesome experience. I pretty much worked my way up, like from a detailer all the way up to a junior mechanic. I was working on bikes and stuff like that. So, that was definitely like a whirlwind of an experience, to say the least. The workplace was like a little bit toxic. But yeah, I mean, the information and like all the stuff that I learned about bikes and, like just the history of Harley and like all this stuff is, it's definitely like a culmination, right? So, I went there for, I think it was like around 2.5 years. I obviously thought that wasn't, going to be that sustainable. So, I actually got into welding. One of my buddies, he had a connection with the job. So, I kind of just, walked into it. I've always, worked with my hands. Like I said, my dad's an electrician, so, tools aren't strangers to me. So yeah, I kind of just picked up welding. I got a job doing like pretty much fabrication and welding for, a tow truck company that, produces them. So that was pretty cool. I got some experience doing that. I would love to, I always thought in the back of my mind when I was welding, I was like, if I can make like metal art or something like that, like broaden the horizons. I'm always thinking of new things. So, when, like I said, when COVID hit, I didn't get laid off, but I got part-time laid off. And I'm like, you know what? I kind of, I was in the good of a position to say, all right, you know what? I have some money in the bank. Let me just, like I said, let me try to monetize myself. I love art. Like I've been making art my entire life. If I'm making something for someone's birthday or like I said, like making like sneakers for someone or like a canvas, like just always doing something like that. But
yeah. What's one of like the most wild or unique commissions that someone's ever paid you for? Like, anybody ever ask you to do something that you were like, man, the ordinary person wouldn't want this painted on?
Yeah, I've definitely had some weird ones, to say the least. Yeah, I've definitely had ones that I've had to turn down, like a lot of buddies that wanted like their motorcycle helmets like pinstriped, stuff like that. Like it's not that I wouldn't be able to tackle it. It's just that I don't have enough experience to, confidently say, okay, let me take your $400 helmet and put pinstripes on it. You know what I mean? So
Sure.
it was definitely more of stuff like that. And then obviously, there's weird, things that people ask and, wood cutouts. I've done actually a bunch of wood cutouts that are pretty cool. Definitely a little bit like, out there a little bit. But yeah, I mean, commission stuff like that. That's like, my main bread and butter. So,
I got a question. So with Hipster Hamsters, okay, you guys mint out. What's the goal, like the end game with that? Because, coming out right now, it's probably a little different than if you came out 6 months ago where things are at. So you're picking a difficult time to potentially come out. Mm-hmm. But what's your vision for the project, in a perfect world?
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously the bear market isn't isn't the best, but you know, as far as the company goes, as Hipster Hamsters, and you know, the identity, we really want to try to, like I said, sustain this for a long time. So, you know, there's definitely a few things that we're going to be implementing inside the project. You know, like one thing that I can release actually right now to the the public, but
Hold on, you're getting a
um,
little alpha here. This is a Web3
but
exclusive.
yeah, you know, so just accentuating on the art, right? You know, I think we might implement something where it'll be a bottom half. So right now we're rocking with the top half, belly button up pretty much. But yeah, we're definitely going to try to head down the road of doing the bottom half, doing the 3D version. You know what I mean? So it's
Yeah.
definitely going to like evolve as we evolve, right? It's definitely going to transcend as time goes on. And like I said, if I'm able to actually monetize myself within here and it be sustainable, then why shouldn't I be able to do this for the rest of my life? Like this would be awesome. Web3 has been such a fresh breath of air because every art scene is like super ego driven and toxic, and like obviously there is like a little bit of that within NFTs and like literally any art, but like I definitely see that like people are a lot more positive on this platform, and that's what like really made me gravitate towards it, because that's what I love, is like just making people happy through my art, and I always say to people, it's like the one downfall that I don't like to the NFT is like you sell someone something digitally, right, and I can't really hand deliver that to you. So the excitement that I get personally when I hand someone a canvas, or hand someone a pair of sneakers for the first time, and they're like, they see it for the first time and they're like, oh wow, like I get to see their reaction. So like that's like the one little downside that I'm like, oh man, I don't get to see everyone's like hyped on it and stuff. But
Yeah.
you know yeah, I mean, there's definitely going to be different things. Like I said, I just dropped that little bit of alpha. I don't want to spill too much beans, but yeah, there's definitely going to be like different things that we'll be implementing inside either the Discord, our website. There'll be different things like culminating together to like kind of make one cohesive piece.
That's great. And it honestly seems like you've had a really positive experience with your time in Web3 to this point. I got to know, like, what other projects are you involved in? And what projects have you maybe gathered inspiration from and said, I
Yeah.
like this aspect of this project and I want to bring that here to Hipster Hamsters?
Yeah, I mean, 100%. There's so many different projects that I've pulled inspiration from. Like you introduced me when you said I'm the POAP guy, right? If you guys haven't known what a POAP is, it stands for Proof of Attendance Protocol, and it's pretty much like a ticket stub saying like, hey, I was at this event at this time, and it's just like a piece of art that's connected to it, right? So
Right.
Tropics, when he first originally brought me on, he was like, okay, let's start this Hipster Hamster project, right? But he was also thinking of a way for me to kind of put my foot inside Web3, and kind of just expose myself a little bit, right? So he gave me the opportunity to make all these POAPs while he was collaborating with all these projects, doing a DJ set. So people like Cool Man, they're just, I mean, there's literally too many names to count. Like there's probably 50 names that I've done POAPs for. Some great communities, that I've just, and the greatest part is like during NFT NYC, I was able to actually connect with them face to face. It's like I'm finally able to like dab people up and be like,
Yeah.
yo, like people. It was crazy. It was honestly like it was a little freaky. Like when people like came up to me, they're like, yo, you're the POAP guy, and I'm like, whoa, yeah, I mean, yeah, I am. But
So you were creating the art for the POAPs?
what was that?
Were you were creating the art for the POAPs for these guys?
So I was creating the art for the POAP, like, but at the end of the day, right? It was say Tropics time, X say Galaxy Fight Club, or just
Right.
for an
Right.
example, right? I would take both Tropics' art and Galaxy Fight Club's art. I would kind of mash them together, take either their characters, their logos, different stuff like that, and I would, pretty much just make a POAP out of it, right? I would make an NFT, make the digital art, like put a date on it, stuff like that, and then
Yeah.
and then in addition to that, I would make a flyer for it, so people can post on it, about social media, to promote it, I guess, stuff like that. But it was just a perfect opportunity for me to give back to the community. Like all those POAPs were completely free to claim. But yeah, I mean, like stuff like that is just like it honestly warms my heart to like just like when people come up to me and they're like, dude, I love the POAP art, like I'm so hyped that like I claim that, or like I own 10 of them, or I own 15 of them.
Wow.
Like it just stuff like that, like that's what gets me like hyped. So
Nice. So it's funny that you said people would come up to you on the streets and say like, "Oh, you're the POAP guy." Now, after this episode, everyone's gonna run up to you when they see you and say, "Wow, it's the most positive creator on the Solana blockchain." I'm telling you, we're coining it for you now. And so, speaking of, I'm gonna share my screen here. I saw this tweet, man, whenever I was researching you, and it went pretty viral. It says, "I heard it's Solana summer, and who's coming with the hips?" Talk to us about your decision here to move to this blockchain and to
yeah.
launch here and that sort of thing.
Yeah, 100%. That was like a great thing that I definitely wanted to talk about because, I mean, I see all these gas wars. I see,
Right.
people fighting over all these, things and not being able to get whitelist, and the deal. Everyone, doesn't want to grind for a whitelist
Know it all
spot.
too well, let me tell you. Yeah.
Yeah, of course. But yeah, so the more that I started to research personally, and the more that I started to connect with other people, like this one guy in particular, build and or I'm not sure his exact tag on Twitter, but it's Build Destroy, and he was a part of Soulflowers. And he actually did a double drop where it was Ethereum and Sol and or Solana, and he like kind of talked me like pretty much like said like which one was which, and like kind of directed me in saying, oh, you should start selling one of one NFTs on Solana, and that kind of turned me on to Solana. So I was like, okay, let me start to research this, because obviously Ethereum and OpenSea, like that's like obviously the main hub and what I've been paying attention to. But smaller blockchains and stuff like that, it's definitely worth the shot. So I started doing my research. I'm starting looking at all these people, and the more that I started doing research, the more that I realized I'm like, wow, this entire blockchain is literally like, it's not obviously devoted, but like it's really geared towards like creators and like artists, like people that are in that nature. It's definitely like very good. And then on top of that, like the gas, stuff like that is definitely gonna be like a big contributor. But yeah, I mean, as far as like the sustainability of it, I definitely, we didn't want to announce something publicly if we didn't have like an utmost like positivity on our side of thinking that this was actually going to work. So we definitely have some trust in Solana, and like we said, it's going to be Solana summer.
Yeah, Solana, like when I think of Solana, I think of like kind of like the young rebellious crowd that's like flipping off the boomers, and the boomers are like the Ethereum maxis. You know what I mean? It's like, we don't want to be Ethereum. We want nothing to do with that. We want to be over here. And they have like their own lingo, and it just moves at a different speed. And it's just a younger crowd. It's like, yeah, I've spent some time on there. And I just feel like it's yeah, it is a vibe for sure.
Yeah.
It's like, if you get it, you get it. If you don't, then like they don't really care,
Exactly. And yeah, and like you said, it's definitely, it's going to be something that'll be a little bit of a challenge. As far as, the blockchain goes, obviously it's going to be a little bit smaller, and, we're going to be leaving some, X amount of dollars on the table. But at the end of the day, right, I'm completely doing this out of like the bottom of my heart. Like this, all this art is like, just like I said, a culmination of my entire life, like just everything I've ever been inspired by.
Wow.
As well as my father and other people. But
Yeah, so let's talk about that real quick for a second. You had mentioned that your father, he was an artist. He graduated from the School of Visual Art in New York, 1985. Has he helped you with this art at all? Like, what does he think of NFTs and
Yeah.
the process and that sort of thing? From someone who comes from a
Yeah.
what
So
we
it's
would
funny.
define as traditional background to
Yeah.
now something in the digital. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. So it's funny because like his art style and my art style, complete polar opposites.
Okay.
His is like photorealism type of stuff, and mine's like, the digital, like, logo type of stuff, like,
Right.
in your face type of stuff. So, when it comes to like art styles, like he obviously loves everything, he was exposed to everything. But yeah, I mean, he definitely guided me. Like if I had thoughts on different color palettes, or I had different ideas that maybe I wanted to implement, right? So
Mm-hmm.
like I said, when I said, oh, I wanted to implement my dad's art, so what I did was, he has probably close on 50 pieces, say, that he still has physically, that are in my basement, just chilling. But I finally decided to knock the dust off of some of them, and take some high quality transfers of them, and was able to upload them onto my iPad, and kind of just messed around with them. I didn't necessarily want to like take away from what the actual image would be, but I did want to accentuate it with my artwork a little bit. So say it's like a black and white piece, I would add like like a colorist hue to it or something like that, like just
Mm-hmm.
so it's like a little bit of both of us. And then yeah, like there's some people on the team that like I've just brought the iPad to, and I'm like, dude, just start drawing. Like just
Right.
start drawing, you know what I mean? And like I want like personal stuff like that it's like, and they always say, they're like, I can't do this. What? Like, I'm not an artist. It's like, yo, like I'll make something out of it. Like, just, you know what I mean? Like, just do something. So I'm trying to like involve everyone. Like, I definitely I don't want, obviously, like me as an artist, I'm going to be highlighted because I founded the project and I made the project. But, all these guys, like, say Ty, I'm not exactly sure what his ad on Twitter is, but he's like my right hand man. He's the community manager for this project. He's been going like crazy. Just going back and forth with me about the art. The website. Anything like that. Obviously, Tropics. He's a part of the the crew as well too. He's a great help. He's an advisor pretty much. He kind of just points us in the direction that we need to go, and we kind of execute from there. So yeah, I mean, and then like I said, Chase, he's one of my best friends as well. I've known him for 12 13 years as well. So he's the co-founder of the project. We kind of came up with the name together. But yeah, I mean, it's like just a culmination of just a bunch of my friends. If you scroll up a little bit, yeah, that's Noah. So Noah is actually another one of my best friends. It's crazy because like it's like weird because like all my friends, they all have like a specific like quality that like we all came together and like made a team. Like it wasn't like just some random people that I'm just
Yeah.
picking like, yo, you're gonna be like the head of the Discord or whatever. You know what I mean? Like Noah, he had like extensive experience like throughout, not even necessarily NFT discords, but say video game discords, like stuff like that. So he had like extensive knowledge like prior to that. So adjusting to the NFT stuff when I came through, it definitely helped him. And then by the time we launched our Discord maybe like a month or two ago, that was perfect for him. Like he's perfect now. Like he knows exactly what to do. We have a team of like 3 or 4 moderators that are awesome guys. We got some guys on the West Coast, some guys on the East Coast. So we're definitely going to try to keep people occupied. But yeah, I mean, it's just so awesome. I couldn't be happier like bringing all my friends together and doing this.
Yeah, man, let me tell you, I'm extremely jealous. All my friends out there listening, don't make me name you off. This could be us. What's our excuse now? I'm seeing y'all this weekend. Let's figure it out. We're doing like a NFT. Actually, before I get into that, I forgot to mention this earlier. If you guys enjoy this type of content, remember the number one thing that you can do is tell your friends about it. Everyone out there listening, tell your friends about it. Go check out Hipster Hamsters. Check out my guy, Austin Kenneth. Subscribe, like, comment. That's the second best thing you can do, to support us. So make sure you do that. Now, back to what I was saying. Me and my homies, we're actually getting together this weekend. and we're going to do like an NFT version of painting with a twist, right? We're just going to paint and drink a little wine, have a little bit of good fun. So what tips can you give us here?
Yeah,
That
I mean,
big bold
if
lines, is
you're,
that the key?
if you're drinking a little bit, that'll definitely help.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, as far as ideas go, I mean, I would definitely don't let outside influence affect what you're doing, right? If you want to make something, then go for it, right? And just go balls to the walls with it. That's my whole thing, right? It's just your first idea. I always say this to all my friends because 9 times out of 10 this is what happens, right? It's like that first idea that you have out of your mind. It's you think that it's like just a figment, but it's really like that solid idea that like builds the building blocks of that thought. So it's definitely like a trip, to say the least. But yeah, man, it's awesome to get together with, like you said, with all your buddies, get together, paint, and have a few drinks and bullshit. But yeah, that's awesome.
So I noticed you're on some other platforms. Where else can people find you?
Yeah, so I actually have like completely same tags for everything. You can find me on Instagram, you can find me on TikTok and Twitter. Twitter is like my main go-to right now. I actually just posted about my TikTok. I just broke 100 followers, which was dope. I celebrate every milestone, if it's big or small. But
absolutely.
Yeah, so I've just been messing around, kind of trying to do the cross-platform type of thing. If I'm, posting on one platform, I'll post on the other, and kind of skip around, stuff like that, see what works, see what doesn't. But yeah, that's helped me a lot, especially Instagram with commissions and word of mouth. But yeah, I mean, social media is like such a beautiful tool. But
yeah, Gary V's out there saying, create content. Are you creating content? And so yeah, it seems like that's exactly what you're doing right here. What is this that you're making? A sign?
Yeah, so that's actually a wood cutout. I had to do that for a buddy. He commissioned for me to do that. So I was able to pretty much what happened was, if you go on my Instagram, it's actually that NYC I actually took from another piece. So I had original commission that I did for one of my buddies moving into Astoria, Queens. And it was this whole New York piece. It had like a train on the bottom, and on the train it said New York City strong. And I wrote that, and that's what I pretty much took that from. Like I kind of like stole it pretty much, but I added the flames, I added the, extra background and pizzazz and stuff like that. But yeah, like I said, like those wood cutouts are like so dope. I actually just finished a piece. It's not a wood cutout, but it's a piece of physical art. I'd love to show you guys. So let me just pull it really quick.
Okay. Another Web3 DJ exclusive. Here we go.
So yeah, this will be, for sale relatively soon. It's literally done. It just has to, have a little bit of, tweaks and stuff like that. But for the most part, this is it.
Oh, wow. Can you pull it to your right a little bit? Wow, look at that. Yeah, the other way. Yeah, that's perfect. That looks great.
And yeah, it's like painted on all sides.
And this is all hand drawn or painted.
This is
all no print.
Painted. It's all hand painted and stuff like that, all those lines.
Wow, man.
But yeah, I mean, I definitely have been doing this, like, physically, stuff like that. And, I've really only switched to digital maybe a year and a half ago. I've just randomly gotten an iPad. But, people think I'm crazy. I legitimately don't even have a desktop. Like, I'm literally running off of my phone and my iPad. Like, and that's it, which is
what? Crazy. That's crazy. And this is what I tell people, like ever since NFTs and digital art hit, the world changed, art changed. Like this new medium is now apps. Like there's AI apps. You could take a picture, you can throw it in the app and it does the work. Then you take that, you throw it in Procreate, then you layer on top with Photoshop, then you throw it in something else. And like, it's almost like these apps and these tools are now the new brushes. And some people might knock on it, but we've already made the transition. This artwork is not going anywhere. And so what's going to happen is the younger generation, they're going to pick up on this the same way they picked up on turntables, same way they picked up on DJing, like everything else. And that whole medium has evolved. That's what's happening right now. And I don't even think where the space is going, anybody has an idea yet. Some artist like yourself is going to come out, flip the game on its head, and all of a sudden that's the new thing. You're going to be doing it this way, and it's just going to change. And that's the most exciting thing about NFTs for me, is just the possibilities. And there's the haters. They don't think it's art. But I'm like I love it. I think it's cool. I think it's never been done, and that's why this is so important.
Yeah, I mean, we're definitely trying to, and like you said, like when people say, "Oh, it's not art," right? We might try to implement something where, you know, it's you have a chance, you know, to upgrade. Say you want to, you know, spend an extra few bucks. And I actually, for the prints for NFT NYC, when I was on the boat, I was able to collaborate with the place in Farmingdale. You know, they have like some great art prints. So I was able to connect with that guy. And we actually might provide a service of, you know, having an extra few bucks to have a physical print shipped to your house with a correlating hamster. So,
very nice.
Yeah. I mean, we obviously don't want it to be like some astronomical number, because at the end of the day, like, you know, you're paying for the NFT, right? And then you want like some type of value, which there will be, you know, but yeah, I mean, like you said, like there's a lot of people that are like, it's just a digital file. I can just screenshot it, and then like, you know what I mean? It's like, okay, well, it's a whole other story, but you know, I mean, yeah, I mean, as tools and stuff like that is just evolving like tenfold, because I can just see it even on like TikTok. TikTok is like a crazy platform for people to like, you know, just expose themselves and, you know, just create. Yeah, exactly. Like I follow so many people that, you know, are like Photoshop or, you know, like Adobe wizards. Like literally they do the craziest stuff, and they have like, you know, a tutorial within 20 seconds. And it's like literally mind blowing, you know, like just the stuff that people are innovating on. And, you know, like you said, no one's really going to know exactly what is next until that thing happens. So, you know, we're definitely not trying to ride the wave of, you know, all that stuff of, you know, the PFP wave and, you know, whatever. We're definitely going to take little parts that, you know, we think that are good from those projects, but we're going to, you know, try to implement new things and, you know, have people a little bit excited.
Well, that's awesome, man. I wish you all the success. It sounds like you've got a lot of ideas and, you know, a good team behind you. And I wish you nothing but success. We really appreciate you coming on the show and telling your story and giving us a little bit of background on your project. And, you know, hopefully we say, hey, remember that guy when, you know?
Yeah, you can't forget about us.
Hey, yo, this is my first interview. So
absolutely.
This is
only here on Web3 DJs telling y'all.
Mark my words right now. This is my first interview. So
that's awesome.
Let's get it,
awesome,
boys.
Man. Well, that's first of many.
Exactly. You know, it's only up from here, right? And I'm meeting awesome people like you guys. You know, I always post, I'm meeting such genuine people, and it just like makes me even that more motivated, right? And you know, it's crazy. You know, I barely sleep at night thinking about all this stuff, and you know, it's cool. It's cool.
Heard that loud and clear. Absolutely.
But yeah. I appreciate you guys so much for having me on the show. I just wanted to, you know, thank you again. You know, it was awesome. You know, I love chopping it up with you guys. I know I'm probably speaking, you know, a little bit too much. But
no, like I said, man, we're all here to hear you talk. So
yeah, of course. But yeah, I just want to say thank you again. I appreciate it.
Our pleasure, man. Thanks for coming on. Before we go, though, is there any didn't ask you about that we should have asked you about?
You know what? Trying to think. I mean, you know, we went over some stuff.
All right, I got a question. I got an ending question.
Of course.
Who's your favorite artist? You get one artist to look at for the rest of your life. Who are you going with?
One?
Just one. You're on an island. You get to take one picture, one piece of art. Who are you going with?
One piece of art? Sheesh.
That's a tough one for sure.
Oh man, I don't know. There's there's like countless amounts of people that I can just name, but I don't. I'd probably have to go with a graffiti artist because that's just like the colors will probably never like, make me
Which
bored or
one?
whatever.
See, I got a New York original right here. I don't know if you recognize the Cope.
Oh, Cope. Yep.
So this dude.
Oh, I know Cope.
Yeah, but this is an original. So he started taking these trains and painting them. You could buy them from him. But there you go. It's a little graffiti.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I mean, if I had to go with one person, probably Zephyr. Zephyr, graffiti artist. The dude was just absolute legend. Like, honestly. Or
Solid. Nice. I definitely wrote it down, so I'll be checking him out after the show.
yeah, he's old school. But yeah, dude, he's like he kills it. Like he was a part of that whole era of when graffiti became a thing, and well, not exactly when it became a thing, but he was definitely in the golden era with trains and stuff like that. But yeah, dude, it was awesome to be on the show. I can't thank you guys enough.
Yes, sir. Yeah, great to have you. Before we go, just want to preview our next episode. We have another great guest coming up July 10th. That's this Sunday. It's with Bulls and Apes. This project has been on the top 100 for almost a month now. We're really hyped to bring this guest to you. But one more time, before we leave, I'm going to go ahead and flash your socials up here. He said it's the same tag on everything. That's at Austin Kenneth. And we'll have all the links in our video description. You see him here on Twitter. Read this thread about him. If you enjoyed this show today and you want to learn a little bit more about him, he put out an awesome thread. It says he's 24. He lied about his age. He's 25 now. No, I'm just kidding. I know you said you just turned 25.
2 days ago.
Right. So, yeah, happy belated birthday. On top of that, Hipster Hamsters. Here's their Twitter as well. Hip Hamsters NFT. And finally, I guess not last but not least, here's his Instagram that he talked about, and then the TikTok. But ladies and gentlemen, yes, absolutely, man. We'll have all of the links in the video description. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been a great show. Live from New York, Mr. Austin Kenneth. Thanks for coming on the